Hey everyone, this is the Mandalorian Merc, also known as Mando Merc. Sorry I haven't done any videos or content in a while. We've been, on the channel here, we've been having a little difficulties. Not anything serious, but several of us on the channel here have been having some personal issues. And we kind of have a motto here, we let real life take first, priority over everything. So, we're kind of dealing with some personal stuff. Not some of us, myself included, but Cam's got work to do, and some of us have family over and stuff. So we're just taking a bit of a break, and then we'll come back. I'm sure by next week or 2 weeks from now, everything will be back to normal in terms of pumping out content. But anyways, so what I have here today is I wanted to do a bit of a Sony PlayStation news roundup thing, because we've been getting a lot of news on PlayStation lately, and I've kind of felt bad about not putting out a lot of content lately. So what we have here is Marvel's Avengers, the Square Enix game. Crystal Dynamics and Square Enix are making the Marvel's Avengers game, essentially the mobile game for consoles, and they announced that Spider-Man is going to be in the game. Exclusively on PlayStation. So here's where it was announced on a PlayStation blog, along with over here, and Eurogamer announced it, and then they had another coverage on Kotaku. So I think the initial announcement was actually on Twitter, but I don't check Twitter, so I found out through these articles. But anyway, yeah, so essentially, Spider-Man PS4, not Spider-Man PS4, yeah. Marvel's Avengers is going to have Spider-Man coming on in the game as a DLC post-launch character, I assume, like they're doing with Hawkeye and Ant-Man. But it's only for people that own a PlayStation. So if you have an Xbox or a PC, you're not going to be able to play Spider-Man, but if you have a PlayStation 4 or 5, you can play Spider-Man. And I assume it's going to be free of charge, too, so that's really hitting below the belt. At least for me, because many of you know how big of a Spider-Man fan I am. Actually, I can tell you the artists here. I actually have both of these issues that you're seeing right now. I have pretty much every Spider-Man issue. You name it, I probably have it. At least if it was in the 20th century, name it. But anyway, so their Crystal Dynamics is doing their own take on Spider-Man, along with Miss I'll just read the article. So every once in a while, life presents you with a moment where your pursuits and passions converge. Today is one such moment for me, because I get to be the first to announce that our own Crystal Dynamics take on Spider-Man is teaming up with Miss Marvel, Iron Man, Thor, Hulk, and Black Widow of Marvel's Avengers, and have the first team up of Spider-Man and the Avengers. I think in the Avengers comic. I think there was one before this where they appeared in a Spider-Man comic trying to recruit him. Anyway, I'm getting off topic. But this is, but he's just going on about characters. Pretty much, they're talking about how they're gonna have him act like Spider-Man, play as Spider-Man, feel as Spider-Man, and look as Spider-Man. They're using the Ramita and Ditko versions of the character for essentially visual inspiration, which I dig. I mean, Ramita is one of my favorites, if not my top favorite artist for Spider-Man. That's him right here on the right, whatever. And that's Ditko over there. It's that's Spider-Man. Whenever I see Spider-Man, that's the Spider-Man look. That's what they used for the movie, the Raimi films. I mean, obviously for me, McFarlane's also one of my favorites. I'd say I based my own style off of McFarlane and Ramita, but now I'm getting off topic again. Anyway, they're pretty much talking about how, Spider-Man. I mean, it all sounds great, they're gonna have Spider-Man. He's gonna it sounds like he's gonna play like Spider-Man. Sounds like it's gonna look like Spider-Man. Here's the problem: it's exclusive to the PlayStation. And from what I've heard, I'll be honest, I'm actually kind of surprised to see and hear a lot of Sony PlayStation owners come out and be like, "This is unfair. This isn't cool, or this isn't right," or some were just straight up saying, "I'm not getting this game now." Period. Like that's it. And it's nice to see that, for starters. But it's also like I was kind of expecting a lot of people like, "Oh, how you should have gotten the PlayStation or whatever," as opposed to being like, "No, I hate this exclusivity thing. Why isn't it available to everyone?" Which is the appropriate and correct opinion. Normally I don't say that kind of thing, but honestly, exclusivity is, when it comes to gaming, it's just a hindrance. I still hate that Sony, the Spider-Man PS4 game is, exclusive to the PS4 and now PS5. It's not right, especially since Sony doesn't own Spider-Man. Let me just get that clear. A lot of people think Spider-Man is owned by Sony because of the movies and everything. No. Sony owns the movie licensing rights of Spider-Man. Spider-Man is still owned by Marvel, which is now owned by Disney, but they're still owned by Marvel. Marvel Comics, Disney, pretty much the same entity at this point. But, Marvel Disney owns Spider-Man. They own the merchandising rights, they own the comic book rights, and they own the video game rights. Otherwise, Spider-Man would not have appeared in the Ultimate Alliance 3, which was a Nintendo Switch exclusive, nor would he have showed up in the most recent, why am I blanking on it? The most recent Marvel vs. Capcom game. I'm blank. Infinite? Was that what it's called? Everything uses Infinite nowadays. I forget what year that came out, but it was within the last 5 years, so good enough. But yeah, that's before the whole 2015 deal with what Marvel and Sony did to get Spider-Man in the MCU. Which even then, from what I've gathered, supposedly they got a exclusivity thing for video games, but that I have no confirmation on that, and it just doesn't sound like it makes a lot of sense either. And yeah, they don't own Spider-Man. They don't own the character. Yes, Marvel in the 90s sold the movie licensing rights to Sony because Marvel was going bankrupt and sold the movie licensing rights to pretty much every one of their main popular characters. Ghost Rider, Hulk, Spider-Man, Fantastic Four, X-Men. Why they were all not owned by Marvel, or at least all the movies were not being made by Marvel Studios and by Marvel Studios. They were being made by Universal in the case of Hulk and Ghost Rider, or Fantastic Four was Fox. Same with X-Men. So yeah, and obviously Sony had Spider-Man. So yeah, they don't own the video game rights, and this kind of pisses me off because I'm a huge Spider-Man fan. My freaking logo is based off of Spider-Man's original, classic Ditko/Ramita style back emblem. I mean, what, I want to be able to, I don't know if I'm going to be getting this game anyways. I've said that in previous videos. I don't think I'm going to be getting the game, but I'd at least like to, try the I did say I would try to try the beta. I say try to try because in order to try the beta, it involves doing something that I cannot really disclose on the internet, or at least in a video on YouTube. Anyway, let's just say I've done it. I haven't done it, but Cam has done it before for Fallout 76, and it worked. So we might try it again here on the channel in order to cover the beta. But anyway, as for the game, I don't know if I'm covering it, but if I was going to cover it, if I did end up getting it, the cover on the channel here, I would totally have played as Spider-Man. But, I don't have a PS4, and I don't plan on getting a PS5. Nor do I plan on getting an Xbox Series X. I don't plan on getting a console. I just upgraded my PC so I can outrun both. I mean, and that kind of sucks that I can't play as my favorite character now. And that's the thing. It's not when I remember using this as an example in the PS4 game first, the Spider-Man PS4 game. when you have a game like, let's say Microsoft and Halo. Bungie, the deal there is kind of weird. Bungie did create Halo, but under Microsoft. It wasn't like well, let's take this comic book property that's been around for, at the time, 40 years, and then adapt him to a video game. This was a new IP created as a video game. Same with God of War, same with Horizon Zero Dawn, or Last of Us, or what's another? Ghost of Tsushima. These are all IPs that were created as video games and are owned by the creators. In a case of a bunch of the more of Ghost of Tsushima, Last of Us, and Horizon Zero Dawn, that's all Sony. They own the rights to those, and rightfully so. They own the rights. They created them. That's fine. They did not create Spider-Man. They do not even own Spider-Man, regardless of creating him or not. So it pisses me off when I see, okay, now I can't play as this character because you have the movie licensing rights? Whatever, I know, this is getting a bit more into a rant and less of a news video. I apologize for that. But I should probably continue, because we do have other Sony news to cover. But it's not cool. And I'm sure the alternate suits for the character will be micro or macro transactions, as they should be called anyways, so I guess I'm not really missing out. Anyway, so we got more news here. Oh no, it's the same news, my bad. Where was the other news? I had news about... Alright, well I guess I don't have an article for it, but... Or do I? Hold on, you're just gonna have to look at this background in the meantime. I guess that's a hint of what what Spidey's gonna look like in the game. Looks good, looks very Ramita-like eyes. I like Ramita eyes. Although I usually draw with the big McFarlane eyes. But I'm a huge McFarlane fan as well. Where is that article? I had one. Alright, anyway, I'll just talk about the news anyways while I find the article. So pretty much, so the PS4 controller, for anyone who's curious about PS4 hardware working with the PS5, the PS4 controller will not work with the PS5. However, it will work with certain PS4 games on the PS5. Not all PS4 games, but specific PS4 games on the PS5. You can use your DualShock 4 controller. But really, for the most part, you're not going to be able to use your DualShock 4 controller for anything on the PS5 aside from the specific odd PS4 game here and there. So that kind of sucks because controllers are pretty expensive now. I'm pretty sure they go for like $60+ now. And they're only getting more expensive as they keep adding more and more tech into them. So I can completely understand why people might be frustrated with this, because now it means you have to get, like, say you have 4 controllers for the PS4, when I got the Xbox One, I had 4 controllers. At the time, I had 4 controllers that were all functioning. Now I only have 2 functioning controllers, but that's a different story. I had 4 functioning controllers for the Xbox 360. And I could just buy like a $10 adapter, and I can pretty much use all those controllers on the Xbox One as well. And this way I can still play with all my friends on the Master Chief Collection on the Xbox One with all the controllers. I cannot do that, or hypothetically, because I don't have a PlayStation 4 or 5. I cannot do that with the PlayStation 5 with PlayStation 4 controllers if you wanted to do that. So that is annoying, especially since these controllers, as I said, they're not cheap. Like, I'm lucky if I can find an Xbox One controller that's $40 or less. I'm not joking. They're really expensive. So there's that to consider when you're getting the console. I mean, that's hardly a deal breaker. Usually, you shouldn't expect the controllers to work, but I mean, this day and age, from what I've heard, like if you have like a wheel or whatever, like a driving wheel for your racing game and stuff like that, and pedals, those supposedly should still work, but apparently the controllers, the gamepads themselves won't. And it's not like the tech isn't there. You can play a PS4 game on the PS5 with a PS4 controller. Why can't you just use a PS4 controller on your PS5? It's not it's not a tech limitation there or a holding back type of thing that the PS5 is concerned. It's just a lack of effort on Sony's part, as far as I'm concerned, as far as I'm aware. And keep in mind, I have taken apart a PS4 controller because I use one for my PC, and the conductive paint on the buttons wears off over like 5 years, so that's something you should be aware of. But yeah, it's like I've taken it apart and rebuilt it. I know how that works. And from what I can tell, it's pretty much the same as my PS2 controller, just with, it's a bit more high tech, but essentially you got an adapter, or you pretty much, the tech is still the same. The principle is still the same. It should work. But anyway, especially if you just plug it in, which a lot of people I know don't care if it's plugged in or wireless. At least me personally, I have to plug it in if I want to use it with my PC, so I don't care if I have to use a wired controller. They're cheaper. Okay, so I found the article, so I can stop rambling. Oh. Alright, here it is. So here's the article. So Sony DualShock 4 controllers will not work with the PS5 games. They will be compatible with the PS5, but only for supported PS4 games. So yeah, it doesn't make sense. Like, why not just go the extra effort so this way because keep in mind, this also, as I said, controllers are not cheap. A lot of customers would appreciate if you put the effort into making it so you don't have to buy new hardware all the time. But then again, Sony literally just, like, back to the whole Spider-Man thing, they're literally selling consoles on the premise of get this console so you can get Spider-Man PS4. So I don't think Sony cares. They're a corporation. They're in the business of making money. I get that, but you also want to think about your customers so that they can keep returning to you and have repeating customers. Because, if you have a loyal customer base, then you have a guaranteed influx of money. CD Projekt Red understands this when they were asked if Cyberpunk 2077 would have microtransactions, and they're like, no, we don't. Why would we want to insult and push away our customer base? We want them to come back, and that's completely correct. Why would you want to do something that might offend them? But here, the original story: Sony's current PlayStation 4 first-party controller, the DualShock 4, will be compatible with the PlayStation 5, but only for supported PlayStation 4 games, according to Sony. In a blog post today, Sony outlined how accessory and peripheral compatibility would work with the PlayStation 5, but notably saying that the DualShock 4 and officially licensed third-party gamepads would work with supported PS4 games, but not with PS5 games, saying that they believe the PS4 titles should take advantage of the new capabilities and features we're bringing to the platform, including the new DualSense controller. So that was what I was saying, with like the wheels and pedals and all that. So that is going to work. That's the accessory and peripheral compatibility there. So the tech is there. It clearly works. Why not? Why not just extend it? But anyway, special Z peripherals such as licensed racing wheels, arcade sticks, flight sticks, etc., will work with both PS5 and supported PS4 games, and both Platinum and Gold wireless headsets, as well as third-party headsets connecting via USB or audio jack, will be compatible with the PS5. See? So you already have it working. Why not just extend it to the DualShock 4 controllers? Especially since it's not like usually when you have a PlayStation 4 controller and say a PlayStation 5. I'm just gonna do this real quick. Say you have a PlayStation 4 controller, right? Here. So this is a PlayStation 4 controller. I actually have this white one here. Well, I mean, I still have it. It's broken now. The tape for the buttons, they have like a conductive paint, not tape, paint between the buttons. So when you press it, it makes contact and connects the circuit. And it wore off, and I don't have the materials on hands to fix it. So it's just kind of broken in a drawer right now. But essentially, that's the PlayStation 4 controller. Aside from this black section here, the touchpad or whatever, which you can use as a mouse on the PC, which is pretty cool. But aside from this thing, this is pretty much the same controller as the PlayStation 2. Which, I mean, just by looking at the PlayStation 2 controller, there you have it. It looks nearly identical. Nearly, not quite, but nearly. You know, so, but then if you look at the PlayStation 5 controller, it looks more like an Xbox controller, only the sticks are not mismatched. They're even and symmetrical. Which is fine. It looks good. I like both controllers. But, you know, I know some people, myself included, that actually prefer the PlayStation controllers a bit. I prefer the PlayStation 4 controller over the Xbox One controller because it's lighter, it feels better for my hands. I have big hands, so I like having a bigger controller. And, you know, maybe this might be comfortable for me too, but honestly, when you're using a controller, really what people are looking for is as long as it works, and how comfortable is it to use. Because this is essentially, you need it to be comfortable in order to use it. Otherwise, you know, if your fingers are in pain because you're cramping or whatever when you're moving it, that's not a good controller at all. So, as you can already see the difference between this and the PS4 controller. You just go back here and there, so you can see the difference. It's pretty obvious. So, I can understand why people might be upset about that. Now I have to find that article. No, I don't have too many. Where the heck? Here it is. Yeah, so it doesn't make sense. Like here, look, PlayStation Move motion controllers, PlayStation VR aim controllers, and PlayStation Camera will all work with the PS5 for supported PS VR games. Though the camera will require a PlayStation camera adapter that Sony will provide free of charge to PSVR users. So literally the only thing that's not being transferred over in terms of hardware, like wireless adaptable hardware for the PlayStation 5, is the PlayStation 4 controller. It is, but only for specific PlayStation 4 games. Not all PlayStation 4 games that you will be able to play on the PlayStation 5. So it's weird. I don't know. I might be reading too much into this in terms of like why I'm getting all flustered about it, but at least me personally, I don't like the idea of like here you have like everything else working. You got the wheels, the arcade sticks, the flight sticks, the VR controllers, everything works between the PS4 and PS5. You know, no problem. PS4 controller? No, that only works with certain games. So, you know, go ahead and buy that new PS5 controller, and then if you want to play with your friends on a certain game, buy 2 more or whatever for $60 each. Because they're really that expensive. It's not cool. And I get it that, you know, I'm sure they're pretty pricey to make, so that's why they keep raising their prices, but at least give people options. That's what I always say on the channel here, is options are a gamer's best friend. This seems in keeping with past strategy, as the PlayStation 3's first-party controllers were not at all compatible with PlayStation 4's controllers. Yes, but me personally speaking, and from experience speaking, the PlayStation 3's controllers were not good. Anyway, the PlayStation 5 system will be sold with a single DualSense controller, though it is not yet known what the pricing will be on either the console or additional controllers. If it's anything, if we're going to use the past as an example, right, you know, based off the track records that these corporations have set, it's probably going to be $60 for a controller minimum. Maybe $40 if you're lucky and go to Costco. I mean, I don't know what else to say. That's kind of all I can think of. Update. Meanwhile, as the Xbox official Twitter account pointed out today, the Xbox Series X will be compatible with Xbox One controllers, the Xbox Adaptive Controller, Elite wireless controllers, and third-party Xbox One controllers and headsets designed for Xbox. See, now that's how you do it. Because that's exactly... See, that's where Xbox is winning, right there. Because they're rewarding you... That's how you reward your customer base with for their loyalty. You know, you're rewarding them for their loyalty. Jesus, I can't speak. But you know, like this is like, okay, they bought this stuff. Should we just force them to get all this new hardware, even though there's not much of a difference between it, and the basic engineering principle of the hardware is identical? No, that's how you do it. That's how you do it. Not with, oh, you can't use this controller, especially since, as I said, the PS4 controller is freaking amazing. Like, I love it. It's a really, I mean, aside from the one that I have that's broken, it's a really good controller. Like, when it works, it's really good. Same with the Xbox One controller. Both of them are definitely steps up from the previous generation. That's for damn sure. And that's definitely saying something when it comes to Xbox, because the Xbox Duke controller from the original Xbox days, oh boy, that thing was massive. And then you had the, I mean, I liked it, but again, I'm not, I can't speak for everyone in that. But at least with the Xbox 360 controller, too small for me. I hated it. Plus, it was way too heavy for a wireless controller. It was weird. I definitely preferred the PlayStation 2 controller over both. But you know, with the PlayStation 4 and Xbox One controllers, they're good. And I know I'm making a weird fuss about controllers, but as I said, when this is literally how you interact with the game, you want it to work. Like, I have no doubt that these controllers will work. You know, that's, you know, at this point, you know, yeah, it's kind of like, oh, what if the controller doesn't work? This isn't the Steam controller. This is the controller for a console. If it doesn't work, then you have a real problem. But the problem is, how comfortable is it to use? If it's not comfortable to use, that's a big problem as well. I'd even say it's as big of a problem as the controller just straight up not working. If it doesn't feel comfortable to use, then you're not going to want to use it, and you're going to look for alternative means to play the game. Whether that's like third-party controllers, and there will always be third-party controllers out there. You know, I know a bunch of third-party controllers that are like, here's an Xbox controller shaped and designed like a PlayStation controller or something like that. I used to have a controller like that for my Xbox. So, you know, those things are always going to exist. It's just the problem is when you have the problem. It's not the problem of getting of having options. It's just, it's also, in addition to the problem of having options, you have people already have all this hardware, and now it's essentially, it's trash, it's garbage, it's useless now, because now you have to go get the new stuff. And it's just weird because it's the only thing that's not going from PS4 to PS5 in terms of compatibility is the DualShock controller, the DualShock 4. Everything else in terms of controllers for the PS4 to PS5 is essentially interchangeable. You got the racing wheels, the arcade sticks, the flight sticks, the VR controllers, etc. All of it's interchangeable. Even the audio stuff, which I cannot, like, as an example, the Xbox 360, the way it worked when you were playing online is you would have a 3.5mm jack. Was it actually? No, I think it was smaller. Anyway, you had a audio jack into the controller, and it was like your traditional audio jack. I can't remember if it was a 3.5 or smaller, but later on with the Xbox One, you didn't have that. You now had to get an adapter for your old headsets to plug into the controller. So there's that. Whereas here, this is clearly not, you know, they're not doing that this time. This time you can just reuse them, and it'll be fine. Yet you can't reuse your old PS4 controllers. And I could hear like the counter argument where it's like, you know, well, they do this with every console. Yeah, but you know, 3 consoles ago, the controllers were not $60+. I mean, if you want to get, say, a blue version of a controller, it's like $80. I'm not kidding. if you go on Amazon and look at controllers, or you go on Newegg, or go on go even on like what's her face, Micro Center. All the controllers are freaking out of this world prices for a freaking controller. So anyway, enough ranting about stupid controllers. Let's get back to, I had other news in regards to Spider-Man again on the PlayStation, but this time about Insomniac Spider-Man game, Spider-Man Miles Morales. So, here it is. The report, Spider-Man Miles Morales to come bundled with remastered Marvel Spider-Man, which is coming onto the PS5. So, a new report details that Insomniac Spider-Man Miles Morales will come bundled with Marvel Spider-Man. This new report from Game Informer comes after conflicting statements from Sony and Insomniac Games about what the game will actually be. So for anyone who doesn't know, just a quick recap. Spider-Man Miles Morales was had a little weird drama thing going around it after it was first revealed, because people weren't sure if it was a DLC kind of like add-on campaign to Spider-Man PS4, or if it was a standalone game for the PS5, or whatever. And some people were getting a little weird about it, where it's like, oh no, it should be this, or shit, like getting angry weird. And I didn't understand it. I'm just like, who cares? It's, first of all, I say that because I hate the Miles Morales character, so I just say who cares because who cares about the character. But I also mean, who cares whether it's a DLC or standalone game? Either way, you have to pay for it and in order to play it. If it's a standalone game, then okay, you pay for it, get a new disc or digital download and play it. Or if it's a DLC, okay, just get the DLC and pop it in and download it to your Spider-Man game, or get it with the remastered version of the game, of the Spider-Man PS4 games. Okay, but back in June, during the June 11th. Or immediately after the June 11th PlayStation Future of Games event, Executive Vice President of Europe Business Operations at PlayStation, Simon Rutter, described the game as an expansion. He told The Telegraph, I guess you could call it an expansion and an enhancement to the previous game. Rutter elaborated, there's a substantial Miles Morales component, which is an expansion element, but also within the game, as well as there's been major enhancements to the game and game engine, obviously deploying some of the major PS5 technology and features. So, yeah, and hours after Rutter's statement, The Telegraph was published. Insomniac would describe the game as a standalone game. They tweeted, "Marvel's Spider-Man Miles Morales is the next the next adventure in the Miles Spider-Man." Oh my God, I'm literally. I start over. Miles Morales is the next adventure in Marvel's Spider-Man universe. We will reveal more about the game as it comes out. Whatever. Anyway, yeah, you can see it. I don't need to read it at this point. And brain fried. It's I don't really see why this is a big deal. Like, I mean, I also don't see why Sony and Insomniac can't just say what it is. That's also weird. Like, it's bad on both sides. Like, the people that are flipping out about, that were flipping out months ago, flipping out about, oh no, it's a standalone, oh no, it's a DLC expansion. Like, who cares? But also Sony and Insomniac, say what it is, because people should know what it is before they buy it, regardless of what it is. Especially because it's supposed to be coming out later this year. 2020. So, yeah. Well, anyway, that's about it in terms of Sony news. Yeah, Pretty sure. But yep, it's here's the. They're comparing it to the Uncharted The Lost Legacy DLC for the Uncharted 4 game. I'm blanking on which Uncharted I'm not, but yeah, they were comparing to that, which I guess would make sense. I mean, Spider-Man. And also, the Marvel Spider-Man PS4 game was not super long of a game. And they say 16 and a half hours here, but I know some people that say it's like 14 hours. It depends on, I guess, difficulty and how quickly you play the game. And so this being, say, like a 10-hour game from what I've heard, Miles Morales game, I mean, being a 10. I mean, if it's an expansion, that's pretty good. If it's a standalone game, not so good. Oh, then again, I just replayed Titanfall all of yesterday. Been like 5 hours, 6 hours maybe. Campaign, really short campaign. But then again, it also has a multiplayer feature. And you're buying here, it would just be the. Anyway, yeah, we don't know the price. At least I don't know the price yet. I haven't looked it up. At least if it's a DLC, it should not be. I'd say $40 maximum. Probably. I mean, based on the previous Spider-Man PS4 DLC being like $20 each separately, or if you get it together, it's like discounted or whatever. It's probably gonna be like $40. But yeah. So I think that's it in terms of news. I think I'm gonna take a break because I'm not good at this solo thing. I just ramble on for 30 minutes. Jesus. Yeah, I'm not good at the whole solo thing. This is why I usually don't do videos if I don't have a guy to talk to, because then I just ramble on, kind of go off topic here and there. I don't know what that was with me starting my work. I apologize. But yeah, so we got some interesting news between some updates on the Miles Morales game and the whole Marvel's Avengers getting Spider-Man, but exclusively on PlayStation, and then Sony being all weird about having the PlayStation 4 controller working on the PlayStation 5. Yeah, that's, I mean, a lot of Sony news, I guess, in 1 week. But I don't know. I mean, not all of it's bad. I mean, I guess the Miles Morales news, I guess, is good. I mean, as I said, I don't care because I wouldn't get the game even if I had a PlayStation. But at least, the Marvel's Avengers thing is like, it's good news and bad news. Good news, Spider-Man's going to be in the game, which a lot of people were hoping for. Bad news, Spider-Man's going to be exclusive to the PlayStation, which is not right. Same with the DualShock 4 controllers working on the PlayStation 5. Good news. Pretty much everything you have in terms of controller-wise will work on the PlayStation 4 and 5. Bad news. Only your DualShock controllers won't work on the PlayStation 5 game. But everything else will. So that's a little weird. Yeah, so anyway, I hope this was informative, and if not, at the very least, humiliatingly entertaining for you guys. So, well, humiliating for me, entertaining for you, whatever. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this. I'll try to do more news, try to do shorter news videos in the future. And try to not go on a rant so much. But yeah, I don't know, what do you guys think? I'm interested to hear what you guys think. Let me know in the comments. Yeah, if you enjoyed this video, give it a thumbs up. If you didn't enjoy it, give it a thumbs down. Do not worry, I completely understand. I might give it a thumbs down myself. I'm just kidding. Maybe not. But yeah, so subscribe if you haven't. If you have, make sure you're still subscribed. YouTube's still unsubscribing people from my channels, so make sure you're subscribed, because if you're not, then you're not going to really know that new content's been coming out. Although you wouldn't know anyways. And anyway, if you're interested in checking out our live streams, check out Twitch. We have a Twitch channel. It's twitch.tv/themandalorian_Merc. We do all of our live streams there, whether it be a game live stream, news live stream, podcast stuff, whatever. So, and we're going to be doing a Transformers War for Cybertron Trilogy Siege Netflix series. Jeez, that's a mouthful. Live reaction/review on Twitch sometime this week. I am still working it out with my partner, because I'm not doing that alone. He is. First of all, we would agree. Poger and I agreed we were going to watch it together, so we're going to watch it together. But also, we actually started watching it together, and we were doing it live. But then we had to call it short because he was being called, and he had to leave the stream. And we just decided we'd cut it short and start over later. So I'll try to keep you guys updated on that. But essentially, just check the Twitch channel. I'll put the link in the description, as always. And if you want to help support the channel in a more personal way, we have a PayPal. PayPal.com/me/Casting the Shadows, and donate. I don't know, donate a cent if you want. I don't care. Any donation is very much appreciated, and so, especially if you want us to kind of review these games. Of money. Buy games to review. So anyway, yeah, so thanks so much for watching. Hope everyone's safe and taking care. I know there's a storm here in New York, so we're kind of, I say storm, but it's just really a little windy. I was outside today and it was actually really nice. So it's cloudy, but it's nice. So yeah, I hope everyone's doing well. You're safe, you're taking care, you're staying healthy, and until next time, this is Mando Merc signing off. Remember, others.